for your perspective. Now we're going to switch over to Ray, who's going to talk a little bit about CPARS training and understanding, and more from the government side.
All right. Thank you, Sal. Thank you, Melissa. So first off, I hope you all are paying attention because there will be a quiz at the end. All right. So
That's right.
industry government engagement recommendation number 3 is simply to provide more training to better understand CPARS. Now, I know you're all thinking that sounds great, Ray, but how are you going to do that? I want you to know we've thought it through. I'm going to give you 4 reasons right now. All right. So the number 1 thing we're going to do is to ask agencies to provide CPARS training links on their agency websites. So that's number 1. Number 2 is to provide more training to assessing officials. Number 3 is for the IG to seek out professional associations such as SAMI, DBIA, and other associations and provide training there as well. And then 4, but certainly not least, is to stress the importance of on-time assessments so that the evaluation areas and narratives are accurate. This is important to piggyback on what Melissa was saying. Is CPARS is a risk mitigation tool. So it's not just for the contractors to get a good assessment and evaluation to win more work. It's for the government to mitigate risk. So that's one reason why we want to stress the importance of the timely CPARS. Sal, can we go? Thank you. Yep. Now, I can't see this slide, so I'm going to try to wing it a little bit here. The red highlights is what you're going to see when you get a CPARS and open it up. You're going to have your company at the top. You're going to see whether it's an interim or a final evaluation. You're going to see the rating, period of performance that is being evaluated on, and what the area is for. Next slide, please. Okay, the evaluation areas, we're going to look at that. We're going to look at the ratings, and then we're going to drop down to the narratives. So the first one, I believe, is quality. And what we see on the screen here is a satisfactory rating. Now we're going to drop down to see if the narrative actually supports, the rating actually supports the narrative rating. The narrative supports the rating, excuse me. And to kind of piggyback on what Sal was talking about earlier with the CCAS system, this meets the mail for satisfactory if you're going for minimal, but if I'm an evaluation official, it doesn't really do a lot for me to mitigate risk. So what I'd like to know is, you can still build in there, okay, maybe this is for as-built, and speak to the as-built, speak a little bit to the requirement and what was done and provide quality. So I think that helps mitigate risk to the government there, provides contractors good support and a more accurate CPARS in the rating. Then we're going to drop down to, Sal, can you read me the next one on the list there, on the quality? Schedule for the evaluation area. That also has satisfactory. Again, we're going to look at the narrative. Same thing, right? It meets the mail minimally, but it could be better. But it does, again, satisfy, again, the rating, if you will. And then we're going to look at management. Now, here, management, we also see satisfactory, but there's a little bit more meat and potatoes there. And some of the hot words in there actually indicate it would be more supportive of a higher rating. So moving along, what you're going to see next is where the government is either going to recommend or not recommend the contractor for future work. Then you are going to have the opportunity to look at that and say, I concur and thank you for the opportunity. I look forward to future work. Or you're going to say, I non-concur. And you're going to have the ability then to say, hey, for management, you use these words, you stated these things, and we think it supports a higher rating. Or you can jump into quality and say, hey, you gave me satisfactory, I appreciate it. But, hey, our as-builts were great. We didn't have any revisions, whatever it was, right? So that's, some areas where you can provide the feedback, and the government may or may not look at that and agree with it. And it has the opportunity to go one level above the CO at this point as well. So next slide, please, Sal.
Good dramatic pause. Well done.
Dramatic pause. Pause for effect. That's what the sign said. All right, so no, I know it's after lunch. It's late in the day, but make sure you're putting your phones down and paying attention, because this last part, honestly, it's not me talking to you. It's really about best practices that I want you to take away from recommendation number 3 at least. And one is to make sure, kind of piggybacking on what all three of us have said now, is to hold open communications as frequently as needed. So that could be from contract kickoff all the way through. If you're having troubles in the beginning, have those conversations more often. Set up, it could be weekly, quarterly, monthly, whatever you need it to be, to get the project back on track and work through those issues. Because again, it's about getting the best CPARS rating you can get from the contractor's perspective, as well as the government getting the best work that they can get across the board at the end of the project. So, and you can back them up, on or off, depending on how the project's going. Consider using those self-assessments that Melissa was talking about. Like I said, I use these best practices, so I will stress this is not me talking the talk, this is me walking the walk as the government. This is what I'm doing currently right now. So I've asked, my contractor, in my instance, to, give a self-assessment on the areas that they'll be evaluated on for our requirement. And I'm asking them to do that using suggestive ratings. I'm also asking them to give me a supporting narrative that supports that. And again, as I jokingly said earlier, I do look at that, I do take it, and I do edit that. But it's good feedback because if you don't track it, at least I'd say monthly, you start forgetting 6 months down the road, a year down the road, what was done, and that's going to adversely affect your ratings and the narratives that go into it, because who necessarily remembers what was done a year down the road, 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road. So those are some of the best practices that again, I'm walking that walk. Recommend that you all employ as your best. It could be your own risk mitigation tool. I do want to say, too, as far as recommendation number 1, to provide CPARS link on agency websites, my office is already doing that. So you'd be able to go to our website, click on that, and see the training right there. So if you can go to my last slide, next slide. There you go, sir.
There you go.
What I did want to leave you with as well is some resources here. You can go to the CPARS website. We've, of course, provided you the links here, so you'll be able to access those later. And just go straight to the link or go to the CPARS website, click on those links above. The guide is great. It's a great resource. I use it periodically just to refresh myself, keep myself accurate for a variety of reasons. The contractor training is about an hour and a half long. It's a video about an hour and a half long. You definitely get your return on your investment on that one. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Sal to administer the test.
That's right, test time.
Test time.